Hey everybody, it's Tina Brinkley Potts and welcome to this episode of Amplify Your Expertise. As I told you, whether you're a professional or a business owner, if you watched any of the episodes, you know our goal is to bring you a topic and give you an actionable item that you can do after watching this episode. So today, I'm really excited to have Sigrid Kaste with me today. You know, Sigrid and I have been in the same groups. We've been using some of the same platforms for a really long time and have been able to, you know, kind of do some things together. And I thought she would be just the perfect guest to bring on and talk about building a business around your book. Now, there's different versions for that, so let me be clear on the version I'm talking about. I'm talking about you're looking to grow your business and you're looking for that way, that vehicle that's going to help you grow your business. And in this episode, we're going to teach you how a book actually does that. Now, before I get any further, hi Sigrid, how are you tonight?
Hi Tina, it's really great to be here. Thanks for asking me. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. Now, you guys understand Sigrid is in Australia and I'm on the East Coast. So there is definitely a time difference in this video, but it's a wonderful thing and thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for asking me. It's fantastic to be able to speak and work together and collaborate across the world. I think that's a great feature that we have these days with technology.
Absolutely. So let me tell you guys a little bit about Sigrid, and I'm going to read, even though I know about her, it's wonderful to be able to read their bio and actually get to know her even deeper. So Sigrid Kaste is the founder and director of Sticky Beat Marketing in Brisbane, Australia. She helps professionals, coaches, and consultants in particular define their brand, expand their reach, and build their reputation. Sigrid has worked in and around marketing since the days scissors and glue were used for cut and paste marketing materials. You know, Sigrid really is my kind of person because I remember that too.
That's a date yet.
She's owned businesses since 2002, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today in various industries. And that's one of the things I love being able to talk to Sigrid because she's a wealth of information, because she's been able to take things and apply it in different industries. Now she's a 3 times #1 best-selling author. Sigrid discovered the power of authorship and the way it creates brand reputation in her own businesses. Having proven how a book brings together the different types of marketing that are required for different businesses and each business stage, Sigrid developed the high-profit author formula and has invited to and delivered marketing and social media presentations around her home country, Australia, as well as internationally in Hong Kong, the US, Kuala Lumpur, and Switzerland. So Sigrid really is doing this, and I'm just really excited because you guys have all heard that becoming a best-selling author is going to help you get more clients, get on more stages, all of those things. But the funny thing, people really don't tell you how to do it. So in this episode, we're going to really dive deep in how and why, and we're going to use Sigrid as an example. So Sigrid, why don't you tell us, right? I mean, you're just a perfect example, right? You got your books behind you. And
Yes.
Yeah, so why don't you start, well, tell us about where you were, you know, where were you at what stage of life did you write your first book?
I was in my office supplies business at that point in time. I had experience from the previous business in diamond jewelry. I'd taken away from that the importance of segmenting down or cutting down or niching down, as the word is used most now, niching down your different types of customers that you have, that importance. So when I was in an office supplies business, I realized that so many other business owners I was dealing with, office supplies business to business that was, they were dealing with issues around their staff, their teams. And I thought, I've never had any issues. I had great teams. I've always had really wonderful staff. So I wrote my first book. I thought it's going to be useful to help these others, to tell them how to go about working with staff. I thought that's a really great topic.
Also, so can you tell us the title of that book? Because you held it up, but then it went down.
I did that too fast. 5 practical steps to find and keep great people. So it's all about loyalty and finding the ultimate employee and how they perform. You know, for your business, how to get them loyal and work for you.
Awesome.
That's what it's all about. Yeah.
Awesome.
And so not knowing anything about writing and publishing at that point in time, I went on that path that these days I can see so many people coming to me, so many clients with those mistakes that I make. I made those mistakes myself with that first book. It took me a long time to write it. I didn't have exact clarity what I wanted to achieve there. And then with the publishing component of it, I almost went down the path of spending a lot of money, $6,000, on having my books printed. Now, what that would have meant is that I would have had these thousands of books in my garage to have then physically sell them and take them out there to these business owners that really need them.
That's a big deal. Hold on a second, Sigrid. Let's let everybody catch up there. So if you guys have been thinking about publishing your book, that is the first jewel that she just told you. Number 1, get clarity. Number 2, and we'll go back to clarity, but number 2, that you don't have to buy 5,000 books and have them sitting in your garage. Because you know what? That has been one of the barriers to entry for a lot of people, is you think when you go get the book, you got to spend a lot of money up front, and now you can print on demand.
That's exactly right. And look, I still have, like I said, clients coming, they say, well, I need a marketing plan now. I've got my book, I've got them all sitting nicely packaged up, ready to be sold. We are living in a global world. This is proof of it right now, having this wonderful interview with you. And in the same way, if you publish your book on demand and globally, you can make more sales and you are much more visible and you build your brand that way. So this particular book with this topic was designed and helped me to actually get coaching clients, small business owners at that point in time who had issues with their staff. I am the authority on working with staff well. That was particularly designed for my local area at the time. And I brought on board business owners. I remember one very vividly, an insurance company. The owner had 5 people in his workplace, and he really struggled getting through to them how to make the sales, how to follow up around insurance quotes. And there was just so many little steps that he was missing. So by him knowing about my book, about me being the author of that, some of the easy steps that I'm promoting in here for business owners like him, he actually brought me in on a consulting contract. So that brought me several $1,000s ongoing over about 12 months working with him. So okay. The power
hold on. So because you kind of told it all in the story, but you didn't, we want to now give them like some of the jewels of that story. So one of the biggest mistakes that people do in writing their book and actually in their marketing period is they talk a lot of industry jargon like they're talking from coach to coach or from doctor to doctor. But the doctor is not your client. It is the person who needs the care that you're trying to bring in. Now, what Sigrid did is she wrote that here's my system of getting good people around you, working, thriving. And if you need help in that, now you think Sigrid is the expert. So she just gave a great example of how to apply when you're starting to think about that book to start building your business around. Perfect.
That's great. Thanks for clarifying that, Tina. Absolutely. So I wrote the book straight away as if I was talking to that particular business owner of any industry at that time, because I've had experience in different industries. Absolutely. I was talking to him or her saying, with your staff, this is what you want to look at, and here is how it works.
So that's secret number 2, whether you guys know it or not. Secret number 2, even though we talk about your niche, your avatar, her avatar had nothing to do with industry. And see, sometimes people make that mistake. They think when you got to niche down, you got to niche down in industry. She didn't. She niched down based on the problem. The problem is you don't have enough qualified people, or you're not retaining your people. It was about having good, thriving people. That's the niche. And that translates across different industries. So make sure you write that in the comments so that you know that you're retaining that. There are many different ways to niche down. So don't just get isolated to one way. So Sigrid, you really, again, like brilliant stuff. So let's talk about book number 2. So book number 1 took you a long time to write. It brought in money. So yes. What essentially, today it's a little different, but what might cost you about $5 now brought you in several $1,000s over the course of a year. So great example. Let's go to book number 2.
Well, you've actually really greatly introduced book number 2 by what you just said about the niching, because book number 2 is the secret of marketing a business like yours. So many business owners, entrepreneurs, jump out there to gain information, which we all can do on Google these days. Let's just Google it, take that information into my business and apply, and then they find, oh, it doesn't really work, oh, there must be something missing, let me Google some more, or just ask questions on different social media platforms. What should I do in this situation and in that situation? Your business is unique in some ways, and it does require a unique approach of marketing. So a business like yours requires specific marketing. This was the introduction for me, really, with Sticky Beak marketing. Okay. The previous book I wrote, as I said, when I was still in the office supplies business, I started Sticky Beak marketing, working specifically on marketing plans and strategies with business owners. And this was the one to show business owners, yes, your business is unique. Don't just take any old information and tips and suggestions on board, but look deeper into your business. This only took me 3 weeks to write. 3 weeks I got it out there and did it digitally, all of it digitally. And that has brought in, for me, speaking engagement, that particular book. So I wanted to not just be here in my local area, but particularly also be known around Australia and globally, but particularly around Australia. So that was a really great experience there. So I learned from the first book. I wrote it much faster, and I understood that teaching business owners that they really are their own, they need to niche themselves in their own business, is an important part.
Absolutely.
Mm.
So that's good. So book number 2 got you speaking engagement. You know, that's what a lot of people want. They want to be able to speak from stages, and they've heard that a book will help you do that, but they still haven't made the translation. What do you say, Sigrid, is the number one thing that people are missing when it comes to, okay, here's the book, and I want the book to do this? What's that disconnect, that why it's not happening?
The biggest disconnect is not having that clarity before they start writing the book. So only just in the last 2 weeks, I had 4 people contact me. 2 of them have already written a book. The other 2 are thinking about it. Now, the 2 that have already written their book, when I asked them, what is it you want to achieve with your book? They came to me for marketing plan for their book, to market it. And I asked them the first question, what did you write the book for? What is the goal? What do you want to achieve with it? And they really had no idea. They were just purely thinking, oh, well, I am an author and I can sell my book, but they hadn't really dug into it. And if we're thinking about, I'm pretty sure a lot of people know Stephen Covey's book, Start with the End in Mind. That is just such a fundamental piece that every business owner wants to think about. Everything you do, start with the end in mind. So when you're writing your book, the biggest component is to understand, why am I writing this? What is it that I want to achieve with that book? And then when you know that, you can actually build page by page, chapter by chapter. You build it so that you're guiding your audience to that outcome that you have in mind for the book. Do you want to send them somewhere to get in contact with you? Are you going to tell them to meet you somewhere? Is it going to be a book that you want to use perhaps to just open doors to get into bigger industries, or into, industry that you previously weren't able to get that foothold into? So those finer details are going to be put into the book, or into the way the book is going to be marketed out there. And each of those areas will be unique to your business. That's
Absolutely.
how I look at it.
Absolutely. So I can tell you that for me, I was getting passed over for speaking engagements, for keynotes, and it was driving me insane. And, for me, I just never really, I hadn't had the inkling. I've written some books that I hadn't put out there, but they were more personal in nature, telling my story, telling stories of my family, like different things. And I just hadn't put them out there. And then I literally had an event planner who, we were working together. I thought I had the gig. She thought I had the gig. We were actually talking about, she even said, man, I can't wait to see you on this stage. Your qualifications, the things you've done, the results that we've been able to go research and prove. You just did it hands down. So, I can't wait to see you give this keynote, right? And so then I want to say it was less than a week later, she calls me back. And she was like, Tina, I just want to let you know we went with such and such. And I was like, really? And I was like, okay. And maybe kind of the shock or whatever, I don't know. But then I hung up. And about 20 minutes later, I called her back. And I said, can I ask you why I was passed over? And she says, you know what, Tina? It was simply because the other person had a book and you didn't. Because there's something about when you have the book, it just seems more believable. Now, we know you did those things. We were able to call, prove, all the, but the translation, when you have book, it just changes things. And so I remember going, I went somewhere for a week, buried myself in, wrote the book, got it done. And, never looked back since, right? But that just brought me to that story. And so just remember, when you write a book, and I want you guys to type this in, when you write a book, you command more money. When you write a book, you command more attention. So just write that in down here because you need to remember that. Sigrid, you kind of touched loosely on this point, but I want to kind of go back to it. I want to go back to, because we're talking about a business, building a book around the business, but actually I should have probably said it better. This is about building your business with a book. So it doesn't matter what business you're in, it is that a book can actually drive the sales through the roof.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, so kind of speak on that a little bit, because I think sometimes when people think build a business around your book, the book becomes the center of attention, when you could be a doctor that's, you could be an office supply store that sells pens.
Yes.
Let's talk about how that book helps to sell more of the products and services for that, just like it did for you.
So as I said, the first book on using my own story there was to sell the consulting, the coaching around the team building and the loyalty of teams, how to select the right ones. The second one was to get the speaking engagements, but also to introduce a coaching program around for business owners around using their marketing effectively for their specific business. Now, number 3, that's what we're talking about here today, is to build a book to build your business, or build a book that builds your business. This is a global approach for me, and I have clients globally that are now building their business using the book. So specifically, using that end in mind, you're starting with the outcome in mind, and then you build the book. You're really building it. It's not about writing in the sense of writing a novel. That's a completely different field. When you are building the book, you're building your own business, your own brand. Let me use as an example for this, real estate agents. There are 3 real estate agents that wrote a book. And this also highlights the niching again, that area there. Now, while generally speaking, we kind of know a real estate agent, what do they do? Or a realtor, as you say internationally, a realtor, they sell properties. And they help sell your property. And what's there to it? How can you distinguish between one and another? What makes them different? So realtors might think that, well, I could write a book about that. My service is fantastic and I look after clients in a better way, and I've been in business for 30 plus years. Well, that's not really going to distinguish you. It's not going to niche you. So when the realtor then takes a specific area of their business, for example, that they might be selling land in a different way for you, or helping you buy land. So you can write a book specifically in that industry as a realtor about land sales, perhaps even in a particular country or part of the world. So that gives it a very strong niche, and it also lets that person stand out completely in that area. They are different. They're standing out from other realtors. If they want to be, highlighting that they look after helping other realtors to become better at getting clients, that's a different approach again. So a realtor might not want to appeal to actual clients like you and I, but they might want to support realtors and help them build their business. Again, you have built a book on a niche area. You are the expert in that particular area, and you stand out from the rest of the crowd just by having your book on a particular area of that industry. Does that make sense?
It does. And I'll give you a perfect example. So most of the time, the people I work with have a lot of letters behind their name, right? They could have been professors or, whatever it was, they have a lot of letters behind their name. And most of the time, when they're ready to get started, they're writing all of their industry, like they're putting their knowledge on display, but they're putting it on display in a way that really appeals to other people who are in their industry. That has nothing to do with the actual client that they're actually trying to attain. And that's what it sounds like you're saying, that it's really important to know the end in mind, so that if you want to be train the trainer, like you were saying with the real estate agent who wants to train other realtors, but if you're looking for the other end client and you're looking for other niches or whatever, then you got to be really clear on what it is that you're putting forth in that book.
In today's world, everywhere, we as users or as the consumers, we consume so much information every day on so many different devices. That attention span has become so small, so short, that when you are niching yourself into a particular area, then it is immediately a connection to your audience that you want to target. That is totally not to say you're cutting yourself off from other business and from other areas that you can also service. It just makes you stand out as the expert initially in that one area. That's really the highlight of it. And as you just said, Tina, it's that authority, that immediate expertise that gives you not only those two statuses, but the credibility as the author of a book has a lot of power in it as well for a business. So whether you're in real estate or whether you are a professional like you're mentioning, I'm thinking of consultants. I have been invited just a couple of months ago to become a member of the Australian Interim Executive Association. And those are all consultants that are consulting around business building. Now, one consultant is not standing out from another. They might think they do, but they haven't really got a great way of showing that to their clients. How wonderful when they can show a book that targets one particular area where they want to grow their business in. That brings not only those clients in and gives them that additional status as the expert, but it also completely leaves any competition out of the way. There's no competition there anymore when they have that particular book. We had a lawyer recently, and his book is focusing on the importance of the various stages in a business, the life cycle is that he called it, of a business, and what is required for each of those stages in terms of legal setup in a business. So he's focusing on teaching businesses or working with businesses to not just look at law when something happens, but to set the entire business up with the correct legal areas and the correct legal setup in there. So that immediately sets them apart from any other law firm or lawyer in regards to focusing on helping businesses particularly. So it's a great difference.
And I'll give you another example too. I think I told you this before, but I had a client, a functional medicine practitioner, chiropractor, who was in Illinois. And he really had a specialty around helping people with peripheral neuropathy, regardless of how they got it, right? Like it didn't matter if it was like from diabetes or whatever. It just was, he had a specialty around that. Now, to take and write a book talking about how he helps this, how he actually does it. If he was to write a book about being a chiropractor, that isn't going to help him get more people to see him as the expert and the authority on peripheral neuropathy. Now, I know that sounds pretty crazy, and this might be, oh, well, that's really niched out, but think about it. The funny thing is that when he started concentrating on one condition and showing his expertise on that one condition, people would also start asking, well, how about this?
Yeah.
And he's like, yes, I can do that too. And I remember one of the other things that came out of it was that he could help with the ringing of the ears. You know, people thinking that they're going to have that condition for the rest of their life because that's what their doctor had told them, that you're going to have that sound, you know, for the rest of your life. And he was able to help people get rid of that. So one condition actually could kind of lead to fixing the other. But the bottom line is he had to start with one. And he wasn't talking about just being a doctor who doesn't, you know, whatever the difference between a traditional doctor is and a chiropractor. Like if that was all that he was concentrating on, he would not have been able to attract these people who had specific wants, specific desires, and specific challenges that he could fix.
That's exactly right. And it is, you really are not missing out on any business. In fact, you are getting a lot more. And of course,
Faster.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, we all know that brands command higher prices. Yes, they stand for better quality. And that is all built into the creation of a brand. So a book can really brand you, provided you're niching it into one area in a way that you put whatever the outcome is that you want to have that book achieve for you, that you build that into the book. And that can have various different ways, as we said already, like you've just mentioned with the chiropractor. You know, that ringing in the ears is one particular area, and that really shows him as the one and only person. There might be others there, but if they're not talking about it and they're not promoting it and they certainly don't have a book, then they're missing out. And he gets that business and people asking for more and other help that he can offer. That's great.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, you know, like I told you, I love making sure we give people at least one thing that they can take and do today after watching this video. And so let's talk about getting clear on what that goal is for that book. So what's the first step of getting to that clarity?
So it really is to look at yourself and think about, what is it that I want to achieve? Do I want my book to use and bring clients to me? Clients specifically for a product or a program that I have. And it reminds me of an example. A chiropractor, talking about chiropractors, had designed a very specific type of pillow and mattress from his knowledge on. And all he wanted to do was sell those products and really make sales from them. So writing a book about how posture relates to how we sleep, with what types of mattresses and pillows, that got him to be able to sell his mattresses and his pillows to hotel chains. So huge product quantities were going out rather than having to have a shop somewhere, one product at a time. So that book set him up as the expert. So if you have that in mind to sell a product, your book is going to be built in a different way. Getting that clarity is really important. When you're an author and you have a lot to say, and even if it is about you and expertise and experience that you have, use that in a way that you can build a business. So if you are experienced in helping people sleep better, for example, because of maybe NLP techniques, for example, and you write a book about how people can sleep better, have a more sound sleep, then your outcome in mind is going to be what? To bring them to a program that you have or to a product that you have. And therefore you would take a different approach with the title of your book, the look of your book, and the way you are bringing it together inside each chapter. Each call to action inside your book would be specific to what that outcome is that you have in mind.
And so, Sigrid, it sounds like, because I know you conduct workshops and, you know, you do different workshops and retreats, you know, just fully around creating that book and getting that book ready so that it can be a business builder. Now, it sounds like, because we know that there's a lot of other versions, right? Like there's the just become a best-selling author and it's going to get, and becoming a best-selling author is important, and we both know that because it opens the door. But you're actually taking it a step further. You're taking it and you're tying it to a goal. So,
Yes.
so kind of walk through that kind of process a little bit. Like when somebody works with you, how it works.
So in my workshop, I do a 2-day workshop that gets us started. And we really go through each part of what is your business, what is it you want to achieve. Do you want to create programs that are digital programs that help you coach or consult in a way? So we map out your entire business and what you want to put in place. Even if you have an existing business, you want to still map out where you want to expand that. So we spend a lot of time on that preparation, which also then helps us to determine how are we going to bring the chapters of your book together? What is important? Is it important to talk about your knowledge? Is it important to talk about what you are doing for others? Is it important to talk about a product or a program that you want to offer with a book? So we're really creating a complete plan before you put your first word to paper, so to speak, or, put your first word in writing. You have got a complete plan around not just the book, but your business, what you're going to use this for and how that is going to build your business. So we've used quite a few examples in our time together already, and I love, you've got all those examples too, Tina. So, from those, thinking back on those examples, you really just want to plan. And that is often, especially with entrepreneurs who are so, on the spur of the moment, I jump in and I do it.
There's no plan. We just got to do.
Just get it. That's great. That's a really good thing. But you really do need to plan. I've got a client at the moment. She had a book. She created a book. She actually bought and read my book, and she came to me and said, I think my book's not really working. I haven't got anything in place the way you're describing that in your book. And she's went with me through rewriting it. That doesn't mean the whole book had to be rewritten. What it meant was tweaks to the cover, to the title, tweaks to the chapters, the way they laid out, as I said, with that outcome in mind. What is it she wants to achieve? She wants to have speaking engagement specifically around Australia. That's her aim with that. So we built everything and planned everything around that, and that's making a difference. She's just about now at the stage of republishing that. So this component, let's jump in, take action, let's do it, it'll work. It's great when you have that outcome in mind. I would say, yes, jump in, but get that planning done, have that outcome in mind, plan it, and have this plan in place. Doesn't mean you need 28 pages of a business plan. That's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
I'm talking about practically knowing, do I want to build a digital product? Is that going to be something I want to send people to? Am I going to do coaching, customized, one-on-one, very specific, personalized? That's different. I don't need to build a product. Have I already got a product in my business and it's not selling? Well, how can I now use a book to sell that particular product? Who is going to buy it? How do I target them using my book, being the author, the expert in this area? So it is unique to each business. Mm-hmm. The planning, the time spent on planning is super important. And then you can take the action. Then you run in there and then you do it. So it's 2 days that we do that. It's really important. Then we run off for 6 weeks and put everything in place to have it published, have it out there, and start expanding your business.
Absolutely. So even though you're talking about, the first thing is that, you know, you're not telling people to stay stuck and plan for a year. Like you said, you're not telling them to do this big business plan. You're telling them 2 days, get clarity, you know, join you, get clarity, understand what the end goal is, and make sure that the product you're creating is going to have a direct path to that end goal.
Absolutely. And Tina, the thing too is, I'm sure most of us know, if not all of us know, it is so much easier when you do that with someone else. When you and I are talk, new thoughts come together. You know, it's that a long-standing mastermind type principle. When you are doing it with someone else, new paths open, new ideas come together. They just seem to jump out of nowhere. When you just sit down and start writing your book because you think you know what you're going to write about and you don't need anyone to help you with that, it's a completely different outcome. It's just a very different outcome.
You're right, you're right. And so one of the things that I always like to ask when I'm doing these interviews is, like, what's the one thing, where's the one failure you had in all of this that when you look back, you're like, okay, it's okay. It might have felt like a failure then, but now it's gotten me to this moment, and now I know better and I'm helping others because of it. What would you say is that moment?
Look, the moment was really that I realized in taking a part of my business and promoting just one part of it, that niching myself in one area. So many of us in business don't want to do that and don't even know how to do that. I was doing sticky big marketing as a marketing agency, doing everything, and it was just so hard to bring anything into the business to really get the work that I wanted to, but to niching it down.
Hold on a second. That's one of those things you got to write down. You know, it was so hard to bring anything when you're trying to do everything. I mean, you know, those are the words. You guys got to write that down, because she was concentrating on being a marketing agency instead of the different services that are fulfilled under the marketing agency, and thinking that if she was isolating one, saying, oh, well, I do this, that it was like, well, no, if I say that, then people won't know I do this. And it's actually the exact opposite. It feels so counterintuitive, but it really, that is such a great share. I'm glad you were vulnerable enough to share that. Because, you know, sometimes, you know, when we're the experts, right, we don't like to share the struggles and the failures, but when we embrace those failures, they really come around for us and really start to show us the right way.
That's right. And again, it really does help to work with others. There's so much you can do on your own, but it does help to have that input. And I'm not necessarily saying to take on board tips and ideas and using what another business owner, what they might have found successful for their business. You need to then relate that to how that actually applies to you. So, you know, one shoe does not, you know, one size does not fit all. You do want to distinguish that, but it's really great to work with somebody. And when it comes to your book, you really want to know, what am I going to achieve with it? What is that? And then you can really niche it down and bring the power into it and into your business. Absolutely.
So Sigrid, you have a masterclass that touches on in order for business owners, right? Business owners that are looking to start doing this path. You actually have a masterclass about it, right?
I do have a masterclass about that, yes. And it brings together what we've talked about. It brings together some details of what outcomes can be achieved and where you can start. So you have that opportunity to, in your own time, watch that and be part of that, to really have these nuggets right there for yourself.
Wow. And I remember after watching your masterclass, I remember that you share a story of a person who actually got, I think, several $100,000s. Well, it was a pretty significant amount of money for consulting from a country for his book. You know, doing the services that he does from his book, and some other really, really powerful stories just like that. Because most people, it just seems like it's illogical if I have a swim studio. I'm just making stuff up at this point. But if I have if I have a physical building, a physical business where people come there to learn to swim, it just doesn't seem logical that a book is actually going to help me sell that. But we know it works, and we know it works really effectively. One of the reasons is it allows people to kind of research you and see what you know without you being in front of them.
That's right, and like we've said before, with the beds and the mattresses and the pillows, physical products with the shop, the additional, using that book in a different way to bring in more sales at any one time, rather than one mattress at a time, for a whole hotel chain or several hotel chains. That really revs up your turnover and of course your profits with that. So when you have a physical product, it's a swimwear shop, it's going, and again, Tina, it just comes down to the planning of that. You want to work out, okay, how do I want to sell, or what do I want to sell more of? Do I want to sell more of, particularly perhaps of swimwear for children, maybe? What's the big deal about that? So what comes to mind for me would be something around, particular in the country where I am in here in Australia, with that super hot sun that we have, the super long summer that we have. A swimwear business could write a book around, if they want to promote particularly the children's swimwear, they have sun awareness, sun safe awareness. How do I use swimming, outdoor activities in this hot climate with this sun that we experience for so many hours of the day, so many days of the year? So you could go to sun safety, for example, that then is rolled back in a book in such a way that it promotes their business, and particularly the swimwear, a swimwear range, for example. So product is absolutely possible to promote with a book.
Absolutely. So I'm so glad you came on today. Can you just reiterate a little bit, because I know she's giving you guys access to her masterclass. You'll be able to find the link down below in the description or in the comments. Can you tell people a little bit more about their masterclass, about what they'll learn there and why they should get it?
So the masterclass shows you what you want to start with. It gives you the examples and how the outcomes, what sort of outcomes can be achieved, and it gives you the steps, how that works, where you're going to start. I use 5 steps in my whole program. The actual program is the 2 days, 6 weeks is the program, but the masterclass gives you that understanding of how you build a book to build your business. It gives you those 5 steps. I share those with you in the masterclass. So yes, the link would be really great. Jump on in and go through learning the 5 steps, what's involved in those, so you can have a look at, if you want to write a book, get clear on what it is you want to achieve with it, and have a look at what is involved from the start, so that you can really make your business great and stand out, build your own brand by being that authority as the author.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sigrid, thank you for coming on. Thank you for coordinating time all the way on the other side. You have on short sleeves. I got on a sweater. It's just that different in temperatures around here. So, but thank you so much for coming on. I think you gave such wonderful, actionable information. I mean, if you guys take, take the class, the master class. In fact, I believe that Sigrid has a worksheet in there, and that worksheet will help you around the clarity of understanding what's the end goal. You at least want to get that worksheet, because you could do that today. You could start thinking, okay, well, I know I want to be able to sell at least 20 more whatever a month, or whatever your goal is. You can get real clear from that worksheet. So thank you again, Sigrid. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next episode. Make sure that you subscribe and you go ahead and you check out with Sigrid, her masterclass. So thank you so much, and thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.